Clyde Shelton, law-abiding citizen. Or is he? Yes, it's time once again to thrust Gerard Butler into a family feud of fire and flames. This one-time vampire is now a full-time terrorist, if the government is to be believed, slashing and sneaking his way up the ladder of revenge. But can he afford to do so? Hello, and welcome to Foot the Bill, where we audit your favorite media. My name is Trey, and today we're looking at Law-Abiding Citizen, a hotly requested film in the mastermind genre of horror. Retired father Clyde Shelton has his world rocked when his family is ripped away from him and seeks justice. True justice. Violent justice. Expensive justice? We need to find out. But first, the rules.
You're gonna want to really listen carefully to the rules.
No utilities get charged for. Anything that can be scavenged will not be expensed. All prices are calculated in the year depicted on screen. Law-Abiding Citizen has a time skip, but the meat on this bone is nestled into 2009. The end of the aughts. Obama had just become president. The Wii was at its peak. Kesha still spelled her name with a $sign. It was a simpler time. Not for Clyde, though. No. Clyde spent this inaugural decade of the 21st century getting busy. And hey, if you like in-depth film analysis that goes into the economic and historic background of your favorite movies, consider subscribing. And ring that bell if you want to tell YouTube you actually want to be notified of our videos. Because apparently, YouTube will just straight up pretend we don't exist otherwise. Yay! So, does this revenging father react fairly when receiving forlorn recognition for federal recompense? Or does he lose his cool, languishing currency for lackadaisical conniptions in a lucid criminal spree? Let's find out! The movie begins in tranquility. Clyde Shelton, that's Clyde, is a tinkerer, while his daughter, well, this is awkward. His daughter has no name. In the credits, she's just Clyde's daughter, so I guess we'll call her Clyde. Clyde is a jeweler, and hey, she's pretty good at it. Downstairs, the doorbell rings, but Clyde's wife, also named Clyde now, asks her husband to get the door. Turns out that was a bad idea. Looks like someone ordered assault and battery instead of assaulted butter. Oh, they're stabbing everyone. Oh dear. Hey, is that Arkin? One hazy, traumatizing nightmare later, bye baby Clyde. Our anti-hero in the making is in court trying to get Nick Rice, that's Nick, to get some justice for his family. Wait a minute. A 2000s era lawyer named Nick? You don't think he's related to... Objection! Let's see how good of a lawyer he is.
Darby has agreed to testify against Ames. With Darby's testimony, Ames will go to death row.
Oh, Nick opts to cut a deal with one of the killers, saying the evidence is shaky. Clarence Darby, that's Clarence, is willing to testify against his partner Rupert Ames, that's Rupert, in exchange for a lighter sentence that sends Rupert to death row. Nick calls this a win, because it's not about what you know.
It's what you can prove in court.
Clyde takes the news really well, I think. Clarence thanks Nick in court, dickbag, and again outside in front of the press, bigger dickbag, while Clyde stares them down like a jigsaw in heat. Down, boy! Fast forward a bit, and it's been 10 years. The time has come for everyone to gather for Rupert's execution. Oh, look, the gang's all here. That's Sarah. She works for Nick. Kind of a protege, might be psychic. We've also got Nick's boss, District Attorney Jonas, as well as Clarence's lawyer, Bill. Bill sucks. Go jump in a hole, Bill. This whole scene is beautifully balanced between Rupert's execution and Nick's daughter's cello recital, which Nick has chosen to miss in favor of this. Maybe he thinks Rupert's death will help pull this whole affair to bed. Oh dear, Rupert isn't doing so well. Does this normally happen? Rupert's less than humane execution has the lawyers and detectives scratching their heads. One of the compounds for Rupert's execution was swapped with a message left behind. Can't fight fate. Oh hey, it's Clarence's favorite saying for some reason. He said it while he was tearing Clyde's family apart for some reason. Anyway, what's Clarence up to these days? Oh, booty and drugs. Or drugs and booty. An anonymous modulated phone call alerts Clarence that the cops are onto him. Well, that's nice. Clarence proceeds to empty his clip at the cops. Oh good, that'll throw them off the trail, before sprinting across rooftops according to his caller's instructions. The caller instructs Clarence to hijack a cop car around the corner. Thankfully, the cop is asleep on the job. Clarence has the cop drive to the outskirts of town to ditch the car and lay low. Clarence is about to cap the cop when he gets another critical phone call. Turns out that cop is actually Clarence's guardian angel. Or is he really a Dovel? Clarence moves to pull the trigger, but something goes wrong. He freezes in place. The cop rips off his wig and mustache to reveal, oh my God, it's Clyde Shelton from earlier. What proceeds is something near to my heart. Suddenly, honorary officers return to crime. Idealized rehabilitation creates unintentional intellectual trappings. Or short circuit. You'll see why. Clyde reveals the gun has injected Clarence with a tetrodotoxin. If that sounds familiar to you, what the hell? If it doesn't, it's because it's the toxin found in pufferfish, also known as fugu fish, that gives them their spicy demeanor. Clever! Evidently, the toxin paralyzes the victim, but does not dull their sense of pain. This is important because Clyde has plans for Clarence. You know, I've heard ruminations that YouTube doesn't like it when you use certain naughty words in videos, so we'll just say Clyde plans to disassemble Clarence.
Disassemble. Dead. Disassemble. Dead!
That night, inside a nearby warehouse, Clarence has been strapped, bolted, and tubed to a custom table very similar in appearance to the table Rupert was strapped, bolted, and tubed to for his execution. Poetic. Clyde explains what's about to go down, and it ain't pretty. 3 work lights illuminate the scene. Clarence is hooked up to an advisor vitals monitor, typically used in veterinary settings. He's got some saline drip and an IV, and Clyde's got some adrenaline to make sure that he doesn't miss a moment of the action. There's also a couple more unidentified syringes on the table, as well as some bottles to top it all up. Behind Clarence is another table covered in forceps, scissors, scalpels, and a box cutter for Clarence Darby's little Darby.
We'll get to that later.
Clyde finishes out the tour by showing Clarence the suspended mirror above his makeshift surgery room so that he won't miss a thing. Oh, Clyde's got a camera to film it. A little souvenir for the road. Say cheese!
No disassemble.
Back in town, Nick, you remember Nick, is suspicious about Clarence's involvement in Rupert's death. You see, Clarence was violent, yes, but rarely intelligent. Rupert's death is textbook intelligence. So who else could be a suspect? Clyde, maybe? Before he can suss that out, Clarence's body is found. Well, most of it.
I gotta say, though, he's looked better.
With Clarence sufficiently no longer a suspect, Nick shifts his attention to Clyde and digs up some deets on his background. Clyde is a tinkerer, a gadget guy, whatever the fuck that means, and happens to hold 24 patents. He also owns the warehouse where most of Clarence was found. Had we not just seen him playing Operation, I'd say this evidence is pretty solid. All right, Nick, what's next? Bring him in for questioning? No, send the National Guard to arrest him. Joy. Clyde's house is nice. Looks like he's been working on one of Da Vinci's inventions in his spare time. Oh, and he's undressing. Okay, sure. I mean, maybe it's a Vitruvian Man reference. Or Clyde's got a kink. 10 years can do a lot to a man, just saying. Oh, that's interesting. Looks like Clyde's also collected the entire United States Code Service. That's the entire legal system of the United States, by the way. He might also have a copy of his state's legal code because I'm not entirely sure if Clyde's crimes are federal yet. I'm not a lawyer, and maybe he's broken some federal law in pursuit of Clarence and Rupert. But for now, I'm just going to charge for a U.S. legal code set and a reference to the Pennsylvania legal code, which are not cheap, by the way. Yeesh. I thought it was expensive to be a historian. Why am I charging for books? It's relevant, trust me. With Clyde now in super jail, Nick gets the lowdown from Warden Iger, that's Warden Iger, who was present at Rupert's botched execution, telling us that so far, Clyde has been more or less compliant. Also, this setting is crazy. These scenes were shot in the Holmesburg prison in Philadelphia, and the room Clyde's being interrogated in was called the Terror Dome. Truth is stranger than fiction. Nick needs a confession from Clyde since, as of right now, there's no physical evidence tying Clyde to these murders. And wow, Clyde obliges. Sorta. In the most Jigsaw fashion possible, Clyde doublespeaks his way through the interview, leaving Nick with technically nothing to go on.
Counselor, you might want to cancel your 12:30 lunch with Judge Roberts.
He confesses to wanting to kill Clarence, to imagining Rupert's death, but does not actually confess to the crimes that we've seen.
Well, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court. Didn't you tell me that once?
However, Nick makes deals with murderers, so Clyde offers a confession in exchange for something.
Yeah, well, since you are a murderer, what might that be?
A bed.
What?
I want a nice new one for myself.
What?
You know, the adjustable lumbar support, that's the
I've
one.
seen the commercial.
Aren't prison beds bolted to the floor?
That's what wrenches are for, dumbass.
What the fuck is this movie? Anyway, Nick tells Clyde he'll work on it.
Let me think about that for a second. How about, fuck no.
Nick doesn't seem too keen on getting Clyde a bed after all, but not long after he finds out that his daughter watched a video of Clyde sawing through Clarence's leg. Look, we all find the Saw franchise eventually. There's not a good age for your first Saw movie, so you just gotta rip that Band-Aid off. Or in this case, leg. Charge for the next day media mail delivery of that DVD, and hey, look at that. Nick came through with the mattress. Warden's not happy about it though.
I don't think he likes me.
Elsewhere, Nick's legal team find out that Clyde isn't just a tinkerer. He's a Department of Defense contractor. That would certainly explain how he was able to purchase a bunch of industrial properties all over Philadelphia. Contractors make bank, depending on their contracts.
He bought 9 properties under his own name, then he transferred them to some corporation in Panama.
Damn, Clyde's so good with his money you'd think he's a senator. Nick takes offense to this and recommends invading Panama, thus sparking the third Panama invasion by the sovereign state of Pennsylvania. But first, Nick takes Clyde to court to argue that he should not be released on bail, as he's a flight risk. And the judge is inclined to agree. At which point Clyde whips out his knowledge dick in front of the whole courtroom and puts those expensive books to work.
Your Honor, I'm a law-abiding citizen.
He said it! He said the name of the movie! Roll credits! Clyde reminds the court that this is his first alleged offense. There is no physical evidence tying his person to either crime he's been accused of, citing Day v. McDonough as precedents for the prejudicial bail denial. And the judge is inclined to agree.
I am actually inclined to agree with you, Mr. Schultz.
See? But then Clyde draws the Uno reverse card on the whole situation, calls the judge an idiot for letting a psychopath like himself out on bail, and state that this whole charade of quoting obscure legal precedents without fact-checking just so a rich criminal can pay the court money to be let go. This is why the system is as corrupt as it is. Ugh. Feels good, man. Feels good. That's right. The judge is Laura, the very same from Clyde's trial, who oversaw Clarence's lightened sentence and decided DNA evidence to be inadmissible. And Clyde took that personally.
I see you later, Nick.
This movie is blowing my mind. I love this. Back in the Terror Dome, Clyde is finally ready to make his confession. A very specific confession with specifics. Clyde also illuminates his methods for killing Rupert.
Everything's automated these days, so I just hacked into the shipping company's server and swapped a few numbers around so the package came to me.
Clever, clever. He doesn't tell us what he replaced the chemical with, but we do know what potassium chloride serves in an execution. It's a muscle relaxer to make the execution not so painful, and is commonly used in euthanasia, just not the criminal kind. Well, not exclusively the criminal kind. So yeah, swapping that out, just about anything else would make death very uncomfortable, disrupting the very critical chain of compounds necessary for biomedical disassembly.
No disassemble!
Having wrapped up his confession, Nick is about to leave when Clyde says he has one more confession. And another confession means another deal.
You ever been to Del Frisco's? I would love a 20-ounce porterhouse steak with all the trimmings. Can I have my iPod as well?
Ooh, that's a big request, Clyde, but what's it worth?
Would the life of Bill Reynolds suffice?
Ha ha ha! What follows, I like to call boldly, illegally leading lawyers on yonder byways. One needs experienced sleuths. Or Billy Bones! Bill, you remember Bill, was the defense attorney that represented Clarence and watched Rupert get canned. Dickbag. Bill's apparently been missing for 3 days. Wow, the timing on this is pretty tight. I hope no one dilly-dallies with Bill's life hanging in the balance. Well, while the warden decides to dilly and dally, I can happily inform you that, yeah, Del Frisco's is real. They've even got a location here in Houston. I can't afford that. But I found out just how much this meal would have cost in the city of Philadelphia in the year of 2009. For steamed asparagus, mac and cheese, a porterhouse steak, seared medium rare, pommes frites, a bottle of Voss water, and a 30% tip.
Excuse me, waiter. You might want to put 30% down for yourself, my man.
No kidding, there's a tip. We come to a total of approximately $84.80, plus that $25.44 tip to a total of $110.24. Great, now I'm hungry and poor because today alone, just the porterhouse costs as much as that entire meal. Did cows get fancier? Ugh. But Clyde didn't pay for it, so it doesn't go in the bill. Ugh. Well, we can charge for his iPod Touch and speaker stand, though. I'm gonna go make a sandwich. Bill, you want anything? Ah, geez, Bill's dead, huh? Guess we shouldn't have dilly-dallied, eh, Warden? Bill's tomb, marked by his briefcase, consists of a steel box submerged in the soil. Bill's handcuffed to the interior, drip-fed a supply of fluids and sedatives via an IV bag. Next to Bill, in a frame of aluminum and plexiglass, is a timer, 3 pumps, and 5 tanks of oxygen to keep Bill breathing. At 1:15 that afternoon, the tanks shut off Bill's oxygen, and, well, there goes Bill. Aw, dang it, Clyde, who are you gonna hang out with now? Well, I guess Clyde still has his cellmate. Nope, Clyde is killing his cellmate and bathing in his blood, wiping it all over his face and body, and all over the new mattress. Clyde, come on! You know, I'm starting to suspect that Clyde's not just an engineer. Got a hunch. After a shower, Clyde gets moved to solitary confinement, which is probably for the best. He's not very neighborly. Nick visits to get a read on him and tries to reason with him on an empathetic level, asking if his wife and children would approve of this behavior. Clyde reminds him that his wife and child are dead, so unless their ghosts are planning to show up to shame him, there's not much to stop what's been set in motion.
You think your wife and daughter would feel good about you killing in their name?
My wife and daughter can't feel anything. They're dead.
Elsewhere in the city, Nick has been digging deep to figure out what kind of guy Clyde is. And it turns out he's the shady Black Ops kind of government contractor. Neat. Bray, that's Bray, is a government agent played by Michael Kelly, who you may recognize from playing every government ever agent to ever. Dude exudes federal Americana. Ugh. Anyway, Bray explains that Clyde is not just an engineer.
His specialty was low-impact kinetic operations.
Just a hell of a fancy way to say that he kills people.
We kill people. He figured out how to do it without ever being in the same room.
Ah, patriotic Jigsaw. Cool. As much as I'd like to write this one off as Hollywood jargon, it ain't. There's a lot of titles and paperwork that obscure these kinds of positions for the US government, but these people exist, and they're paid decently well. Bray goes on to say that Clyde is playing chess with them all, and the easiest way to beat him is to just kill him.
Walk into his cell and put a bullet in his head. If Clyde wants you dead, you're dead.
Cool, everyone's at risk and Clyde is in control. No worries then. The next day at lunch with Judge Laura, she just can't see the logic behind locking down an already secured inmate. I mean, the man's in solitary after all. It's nothing to lose your head over.
So let me get this straight. You want me to violate his God-given civil rights in the name of some murky sense of the greater good. Okay, I'm game.
Laura then gets a phone call which explodes, causing her to lose her head. I call this criminal attorneys languish laws. Don't react obtusely. Perchance penitentiary exercises denied or call dropped. You know, in 2009, this scene would have seemed very far-fetched, but in 2025, we've already seen it. Because in 2024, over the course of 48 hours in September, thousands of pagers and hundreds of walkie-talkies exploded, killing 42 and injuring more than 3,500 people. The explosives were undetectable by standard security networks, having been smuggled into the battery compartment of the devices. The explosions were the result of plastic explosives, 3 grams of PETN, one of the main ingredients in Semtex, and similar in function to C4. Judge Laura's phone was likely cloned and swapped out for the explosive-laden device, which was then set off when the call came in and answered. The explosion was small enough to kill only the intended target, with Nick and Jonas relegated limited to trauma only. I'll cover these material costs later on, but for now we can charge for a cloned phone. Back in jail, Clyde finally gets his monologue where he reveals his pursuit of justice is to tear down the justice system, this big, broken, bloated thing that has lost its way. As a token of his faith in Nick, however, he offers him one last chance.
Release me and drop all charges by 6 a.m.
For what?
or I kill everyone.
Needless to say, Nick gets the message and orders his team to be on high alert, as well as relocating his family to a safe house with 0 electronics. They need to double down and figure out what Clyde's next step is so they can, take him to court? A judge is dead. This is officially a federal crime, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, the gang pull an all-nighter in the safest place in town, the prison. 6 a.m. rolls around and I guess everyone's not dead, so hooray! Time to call it a night and start over fresh. Hey, did you carpool? Because I came here with Janice and she said that she'd drive me back to your place because I left my sweater on your couch. Oh, wow. That's everyone disassembled, huh? Damn. Forensics confirmed that 4 vehicles had explosives in their gas tanks that were remotely activated by a receiver outside the gate. The explosives were undetected by security. Curiously, Nick's car lacked any such explosive device. I'm sure he'll take it as a compliment. The mayor certainly didn't.
You boys sure fucked this one up.
He's very smart. He's very angry.
Smart and angry, my favorite film genre. With 40 minutes left in the film, Nick assures the mayor,
"We are gonna stop this guy. He's not gonna hurt anybody else."
Sure thing, bud. By the way, while you were out, Clyde somehow got a framed newspaper cutout into your house, so, don't freak out. Oh, he's freaking out. Later on, Nick and Jonas attend a funeral for their disassembled coworkers when the procession is crashed by...
What the fuck is that?
That is techno-extermination, robotic murders, immoral numinations, at least they're openly rechargeable, or a goddamn copyright-free war machine. Fuck it, it's Terminator. Specifically, I believe this is a modified Talon bomb disposal robot, armed with, among other things, an EMP pulse emitter. And it's worth talking about because this was super fun to research. Hi, FBI agent! How are the budget cuts going? Bad? Yeah, I figured. Anyway, here's what I learned about EMP blasts while researching death robots. My first question was, can you make an EMP blast directional? And it turns out, yes, you can, with limits. This doctoral thesis proves that an EMP burst can be made directional within 100 meters before dramatic drop-off of focus. Now, for their experiment, they outlined how to deliver a 12 millivolt blast. Keep that number in mind because my next question was, can an EMP blast disable a vehicle? Well, there were 2 illuminating pieces of evidence regarding this. The first is that the US government performed a study in which 50 cars manufactured from the 80s to early aughts were subjected to EMP pulses above 50 millivolts. Now, of those vehicles, only 1 failed to restart after sustaining damage. Most of them lost access to their radios briefly, a few shut down but could still turn back over. Now, second, BMW apparently has a lab where they hit their cars with the equivalent electricity of a lightning strike, or 100 million volts. And those cars are fine. So, can an EMP blast disable your vehicle? Not likely. If the explosion has an EMP wave to it, be more worried about the explosion, less worried about the EMP. Now, what you're better off doing is installing a kill switch while no one's looking, and then trigger the switch at the opportune moment, which I've decided happens here. Now, what definitely will disable a vehicle are a 50 cal Browning M2 HB machine gun and a goddamn M136 AT4 rocket launcher. Holy hell. Jonas, are you good? Oh, he's not good. Bye, Jonas. Well, he won't have to travel far for the funeral. Back in Philly, the mayor turns Nick into acting district attorney because I can't imagine anyone else saying yes to that job right now. Sorry, Nick. Also, I tried to figure out the mayor's name, but nope, she's just mayor. This movie, I swear. As acting DA, Nick gets to work on the list of properties Clyde owns in and around Philadelphia. Somewhere in this big expensive list is the key to figuring out how Clyde is achieving his ends and what he has planned next. Yeah, it turns out with that list of properties, which I'll get to, Nick can cross-reference every major property purchase in the last decade to narrow it down. Ha! And narrow it down he does. Nick and Dunnigan, that's Dunnigan by the way, meet up at one of Nick's properties. This one's pretty special, mostly due to being directly across the street from solitary confinement at the prison. Upon breaking inside without a warrant,
What about his civil rights?
Fuck his civil rights.
Nick and Dunny discover a mechanic shop, complete with cars, complete with Clyde's car, complete with a secret tunnel underneath Clyde's car, confirming what we've all suspected. Mining ore, lawfully evading, minerals extracted from nooks or mole men. So I think this means we need to put the price of this property on the bill, since its existence is integral to conducting of Clyde's disassembly business. But also, I have reason to not charge because I didn't charge for Jigsaw's property that he used in traps. But Jigsaw didn't buy those properties with the intention of turning them into traps. He bought them because he was turning them into businesses, whereas Clyde's properties are pretty exclusively of the trap variety. Okay, let me think. Okay, we'll charge for this one because we have a price attached to it and we know it's being used nefariously and bought for the purposes of nefarious use. We won't charge for the others because we don't know what they are or if they're of nefarious use. And we won't charge for the warehouse at the beginning of the film because I don't know how much it is and I'm not about to just throw random numbers on the screen. All right, moving on. This tunnel is pretty extensive, featuring a small minecart, lighting, rails, and extensive supports. Well, it's secure at least. Unlike other secret tunnel systems we've seen before, this one taps into existing sewer lines and underground networks pretty quickly, utilizing pre-existing spaces as much as possible. As such, we won't be charging the same labor and construction we saw in the secret basement section in Saw 2. Now, what's at the end of the tunnel is fuck. This place is kinda a lot. The first thing we see is a whole closet of disguises, which leads me to suspect that Clyde has been lurking in the background of every scene in this movie. Great! Next, we've got more ammunition than I've ever seen in a film, and I've seen The Matrix like a lot. It's quick, but I can see 50 cal, 45s, 308s, 227, and 9mm. Man is stocked. On the table below that is a 50 caliber Barrett sniper rifle, or as an army sniper once described it to me, surgery from 1.5 miles away. Across from that, we've got TNT, Semtex H, whole host of detonators, det cord, a Pelican case with, I can't actually identify what's in that case or what was in that case, so I'll just charge for the case. And oh, the tunnel goes even deeper.
It tunneled into every cell.
That's right, Clyde, not one to leave anything to chance, tunneled his way into every cell in solitary confinement in order to guarantee his ability to slip in and out as needed. Oh God, he's not in right now, is he? That would have been embarrassing. Well, wait, if Clyde's not here, where is he? Well, turns out Clyde's at work. Man, what a patriot. Picking up extra shifts while still in prison. I really admire this guy. Not because of the bombs. Okay, maybe a little because of the bombs. Clyde's picked up work as a janitor in City Hall, conveniently on the eve of an all-nighter for Mayor and her council of dick elders. I don't know how to charge for Clyde's extra shifts. I don't know if I can charge for Clyde's extra shifts. He might actually be employed by the company that cleans City Hall, in which case I might need to add janitorial staff to his list of income sources. Contract work is so hard to audit. Back in the evil lair, it's revealed that Clyde has tapped into the prison cameras, and the cameras at City Hall, and the cameras outside Nick's home. What the fuck? This extensive level of camera hacking is tough to price out without knowing how Clyde is patched in. The best bet is he's patched into the data line from the camera to the console and is diverting the signal to his base. This isn't cheap, especially in 2009, but it's doable. Might be some latency if he's broadcasting the signal across town or onto a subnet and through the web to a private server. I'll put my best bet up here. So what's Clyde got planned for City Hall? A little something I like to call thoughtfully hijacked employment reaps obscure opportunities. Front door invitations supply open necessary functions in which roofs can explode. Or the roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the motherfucker burn. Burn, motherfucker, burn. So yeah, Clyde spent the last few weeks, maybe months, maybe years, sneaking bomb supplies into City Hall for the big grand finale. Oh, think V for Vendetta versus the Old Bailey. Man, I love that movie. Should we do a foot the bill on V for Vendetta? Yeah, maybe. The parts he's assembling are mostly movie magic, but there's a few two key ingredients. This bomb is weirdly mundane for the extensive planning that Clyde's put Nick through so far, but I don't know, maybe he's just tired. I mean, he spent a decade on this after all. It's not uncommon to get your best workout early and then just kind of phone in the rest. Not that I know anything about that. Don't look at my grades from school. Get out of my report card, Mom! The bomb itself is nestled in a nice briefcase consisting of electrical wiring connected up to liquid explosives. The whole system is triggered by a phone that presumably will explode when called. In order to make sure everything's going off without a hitch, Clyde even has a tablet wired in to view the security cameras of City Hall while on the go. Jesus, Clyde, that's some heavy-hitting tech for 2009. The most I had at the time was a computer that could kinda play WoW, occasionally EverQuest. But on closer inspection, I don't think it's a tablet PC. I think it's a portable TV. Based on this model of a portable LCD TV and this close-up we get a little later on, the layout is very similar to this model from 2009, which means I think that he's broadcasting the security camera footage onto the local TV station networks and has tuned into it like a private radio station. Fucking wild. Now, this was the year that the US was switching over from analog to digital television, so he had to have been using some of the decommissioned equipment and the sudden freed up airspace to tune in. Satisfied with his work, Clyde heads back home to home base to be in his cell when the bomb goes off. There's just one problem with that.
Clyde.
Oh my God! It's Nick from earlier! What are you doing here? Nick compliments Clyde's work so far, but Clyde isn't satisfied, turns out. He's not done yet. They'll understand him soon enough. Nick rebukes him, says that while his decisions can't be unmade, he still has time to reconsider his actions ahead.
Stand up for those principles you've been preaching. See, we're all held accountable, Clyde. That includes you.
So what do you suggest, Nick? Make another deal?
Nick isn't here to debate. As he puts it,
I don't make deals with murderers anymore, Clyde. You taught me that.
And a look of relief goes over Clyde's face. Nick finally gets it. This was always about him, teaching him that there are some people you simply cannot negotiate with. Even if the outcome isn't ideal, you've kept your head high and your dignity. You cannot debate some people. You cannot grant them an olive branch of empathy, or they will twist your well-meaning and make it hollow. At least that's what Clyde believes. That's the point he's tried to make, right? But he can't turn away. He still needs to make everyone else understand that. Clyde readies himself to make the call, fully expecting Nick will shoot him as soon as he tries to do so, but Nick backs away, stepping out of the cell.
Like I said, Clyde, it's a decision you have to live with for the rest of your life, which I figure by now is about 25 more seconds.
Game over!
The phone rings, but the response is nearby. The bomb was never defused. It was just relocated back to Clyde's cell. Clyde smiles, knowing his purpose was served, even if only slightly. Nick is changed, and hopefully the system moves a little bit back towards true justice. The movie ends, Clyde having immolated in his cell, disassembled into ashes. Nick finally sees his daughter play her cello at her recital, the cherry blossoms behind her representing a new spring, a new shift, new growth, and the justice system never broke again, except for all the times it did. So, how did Clyde fare? Did his paradigm-shifting bomb succeed in nudging the scales of justice within a reasonable budget? Or did his gizmos giz out, his morals falling on deaf ears, mostly due to the concussive explosives? Let's do Clyde's accounting and find out. In total, Clyde spent approximately $357,670.67 on bombs, guns, robots, and disguises in 2009. Adjusting for inflation, that's approximately $537,765.56 in 2025. Clyde's most expensive moral tale, excluding properties purchased, was Terminator, aka the copyright-free war machine, because you can't can't just buy a functional 50 cal Browning M2HB and not expect it to cost over $60,000, Brenda. Seriously, those things are expensive. Clyde's cheapest moral tale was Call Dropped, which is terrifying, but mostly depended on already owning more plastic explosives than is legal. Still, it's very cheap to take out a single person. Sorry, it's very cheap to disassemble a single person. Now, about those properties. If we exclude the automotive repair shop from Clyde's bill, he's looking at having spent around $129,358.78, or a little under $200,000 in 2025. Not bad, not bad. If we include all the properties, however, Clyde's bill becomes a little bit more estranged. $1,463,626.22. Ugh. Or around $2.2 million in 2025. And you know those properties did not get cheaper, so it's probably even more than that. Have you tried buying a house? Have you tried selling a house? Can you even afford a house? I can't. But can Clyde foot the bill? Let's take a look at his income. Clyde is a brain, a one-man think tank government contractor for the Department of Defense, or the Department of Offense, depending on your angle. The highest paid contractors for the DoD can take home on average a little over $200,000 per year before taxes, but Clyde's a bit more than your average contract worker, eh? I mean, he's a holder of many patents, apparently side jobs, and so he's capable of pulling in even more than that. He also liquidated most of his holdings prior to setting off this chain of events, and he had a decade of planning. All told, I think yes, Clyde can foot the bill on this one. You hear that, Clyde? Your bank account is okay. All right, he's disassembled. I want to give a huge thank you to my wife, Annalise, for editing this video. Short Circuit is one of her favorite movies, and this seemed like the best time to include it in our work. Sorry, hon. Love you. I also want to thank all of our YouTube and Patreon members for supporting us. You make these videos possible. Extra special shout out to members of the Feet tier. No feet pics with this tier, but you do get to hear me say your internet name in a video. I'm not sure when this video is coming out. We're either at Houston Horror Film Fest or it's already happened. I might be recovering from surgery when you're hearing this. Hi, future me. I'm sorry your body is a saw trap. And if that's the case, well, I hope I'm recovering well. Thank you again so much to each and every one of you who's still here. Doing this is weird, but a good weird. And I'd not want to be doing anything else. Because remember, I'm here to make stuff. If you're here to watch, thanks.